Hello, everybody. This is Seth with the World of Paleoanthropology, and I'd like to welcome you to the next episode of Paleo Fridays. Now, I was going to talk about a specific topic today, the Red Deer Cave people, because some interesting news came out about them, which I will touch on briefly because honestly, there's not too much to tell about it. But I'd like to more discuss some sad news that occurred this week, and that would, of course, be the loss of Kamoya Kimeu, one of the greatest fossil hunters of all time. And it is a huge loss to the paleoanthropological community, not to mention the many other losses that we have suffered this year. The community is truly suffering. And I think when these things happen, we need to come together. We need to show our strength and solidarity for one another. And that has happened with when Richard Leakey passed away, when Bill Kimball passed away, Yves Copens, and it's continued to happen. So just today I would just like to talk a little bit about Kamoya Kimeu, what he did, his life, and things about that. And most importantly, I would like to point out that his dear friend Louise Leakey, Dr. Louise Leakey, is hosting a GoFundMe to raise funds for the medical bills that were incurred, as well as funeral costs that are needed and needed desperately. So I will put that link in the description or wherever you will be watching or listening to this, so that if you can, please donate or at least share the word like I can. And it's what I can do, so I'm doing it. So please take a look. So I'm just going to read some of the words that Louise Leakey wrote in the GoFundMe because I think, and I said this in the small obituary that I wrote, I don't think anyone can put it better. So we're going to discuss this for a little bit, and then we're going to discuss one of his most important finds, arguably, and discuss it and look at it, and that will hopefully lighten the mood a bit, and it'll be a little cool. Now, Kamoya was a fossil hunter, and of course, he was a fossil hunting legend. He worked extensively in the Turkana Basin from 1968 through his retirement in 1993. His most remarkable find was that of the Turkana Boy skeleton from Narikatomi in 1983. This iconic 1.6 million year old Homo erectus skeleton was highly significant due to its completeness. Nothing like it has ever been found since in East Africa. His many discoveries have contributed enormously to the understanding of human prehistory. He was recently awarded an honorary degree from Case Western University in recognition of his major contributions to the field of paleoanthropology. He worked with both Louise and Mary Leakey at Olduvai and went to explore the Turkana Basin and manage the field teams between 1969 and the year 2000. From everything that I have heard personally and everyone that I have talked to, he was truly a dedicated and loving man. He loved what he did, and he was amazing at it. Now, why don't we talk about one of his greatest finds, as was just mentioned, and that would be the find of Turkana Boy. Now, here we have Turkana Boy's skull. So this is a Homo erectus. Now, we're not going to go into too much detail about this because when I do the skull videos, we will go into much greater detail, which those will be coming soon. So we'll be having a third series of videos going on. I can't promise when or how often they will be, but we'll have the story of us, interviews, Paleo Fridays, and then we will have a skull comparison video series that I've wanted to do since I got these skulls, but due to technical complications that are now being alleviated, we could do these. Now, If you want to help out and help me get the materials that I need to do these videos properly, please go ahead and consider buying some of my merchandise, which you can find on my website. Now, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about Homo erectus, specifically Kamoya Boy. Now, while this skull might seem quite large, and it relatively is, the brain size is much smaller than that of a modern human. And the most important thing that you need to know about Homo erectus, I believe, is Homo erectus is the first hominin to show a truly modern human body form. They stood completely upright. They had our body shape, longer legs, shorter arms, an upright trunk. Their head faced completely forward and their eyes looked forward. This is a creature that walked completely like we did. It even could have run like we did, which is the first that we're seeing in hominin, the ability to run, and which this can possibly completely change the way that they gathered in food. This could possibly be the first hominin that actually hunted. Now, this is controversial. There's a lot of evidence for it. There's a lot of evidence against it. You can look into it, do some research, and make up your own mind. But it's possible. It's also possible that Homo erectus was the first hominin to use fire. There's evidence of this dating to about 1.5 million years ago. And the evidence is hard to exactly say what's going on. We don't know if Homo erectus used fire that the landscape provided, such as lightning strikes, or if they were able to create and use fire when and how they needed it, which of course would be a completely different level of complexity. We also see in Homo erectus the first time of hominins possibly taking care of one another, showing altruism and healing and taking care of those who are sick and wounded. We see a lot of human behavior start to emerge first in Homo erectus. And this is not very surprising considering their body shape, what they look like, and the way that they evolved, and the nutrition that they had. The meat that they had is a very strong hypothesis for the growth of their brains. Now, looking at this from all angles so you can get a good view of everything, you can see, of course, very distinctly not human. But it's on its way. We still have pronounced prognathism, which is, of course, how far the face is sticking out. We humans have a flat face, and we have a rising forehead. This, of course, is a flat forehead, of course, in signifying a much smaller brain. But this find is almost a complete skeleton, which, as was mentioned in the little blurb that I read that Dr. Leakey wrote, has not occurred since probably Homo naledi discoveries in 2013 at the Rising Star Cave System in South Africa. But nothing like this has ever been found since in East Africa. The skeleton is almost, I don't recall the completeness, I think it's around 75% complete if I'm not mistaken, but do not quote me on that as I am not looking at it in front of me. But most of the skeleton was there, and of course we can see how complete the skull was, which is one of the most fascinating parts. But most of it was there. I believe every bone, maybe not every side of every bone, but I believe every bone is represented in some way, which gives us so much information about Homo erectus. And one of the most interesting things is this, there's a huge debate about, not so much now, but there was, on how old this specimen was, because by its size, many thought it was an adult, but by other measurements and identifiers, it seemed to be more of a youth. And by dating and figuring out projections of growth using primate research and known hominin growth patterns, they were able to determine, I believe, that he's around 9 years old. and he was still this large. So Homo erectus was not a small hominin, definitely very tall and suited for what it was doing. So I think for Paleo Fridays, today obviously we focus on Homo erectus and of course the sad news of a great fossil finder's passing. Again, please look for that GoFundMe link and do what you can. If you can't donate, please just spread the word. But hopefully you learned a good deal about Homo erectus. Look for more to come on this guy and some many others. For right now, I think I'm going to sign off. I hope you guys have a great weekend. If you enjoyed this video and look forward to other videos on oh, actually, I forgot the Red Deer Cave people, so let me mention the news real quickly. So the Red Deer Cave people are an interesting group that have been found in China in a cave where there's not many fossils, but the ones that they have found, the parts of the skulls that they have found looked very strange. They seem to have features of both modern humans and Neanderthals, which led a lot of people to believe that they were possibly a hybrid species. And it was unknown where exactly to place this species on the hominin family bush. Now, what occurred and was reported on a few weeks ago was that they finally harvested DNA from the about 11 to 14,000 year old fossils, and it turns out they are exactly modern humans. There's nothing genetically special about them. They have the same amount of Neanderthal and Denisova DNA that any modern human today might have from that area. They just had regional adaptations for whatever reason to better survive their area, which we know can definitely happen. That's how gene flow works, etc., etc. Now, that's about all the news when it comes towards the Red Deer Cave people, so you can see why I probably didn't want to have a whole episode on it. But again, if you learned something, if you enjoyed something, if you look forward to the next episode, please like, subscribe, and share these videos. It means a lot to me. The more people that I can reach, the people that I can teach and educate, that's my goal. If I can just teach one person one thing, I would call that a success. So please let me know what you think, what you thought of this video, any tips you might have, anything you want to say. I'm open. I have an open door. Just let me know. I'll see you next week. Please check out the video that I also uploaded today, the interview with Dr. Emma Pomeroy about Neanderthals and what they did with their dead. Did they bury them? Was it intentional? Did they have ritual? I don't know. You'll have to check it out.